This is the GARIS Masculist MGTOW flyers, that is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. This is flyer number 8, entitled Baby Calculus. Description: to get a man to give a woman babies, the woman needs to be a FIP, which means she has to study a FIP major in college, which has as a prerequisite 12th grade high school calculus. So, no calculus, no babies. Now for the flyer itself. Baby calculus. The basic idea behind the term baby calculus is that women must study 12th grade calculus at high school if they want to have a baby. There's a longish chain of reasoning behind this idea, which I'll now explain. The core idea of the MGTOW, men going their own way, refusing to marry and have kids, and spending their money on themselves doing what they love, and the masculist men's-led movements, is that men are rebelling against working for women. The masculists state that now that women can work, they must work. Anything else is parasitism of the labour of men. The masculists' primary political goal is to wipe out fluffies, that is, traditional women who expect to be able to parasite off the money of a man. The term fluffy is based on the word fluff, that is, with connotations of being light, not serious, not responsible, not adult, not career competent, not FIP, that's financially independent person. MGTOWs are politically passive. They simply walk out of the marriage market by refusing to marry and refusing to have kids. The MGTOW movement is largely a response to the fact that the male feminist gender politicians changed the divorce laws in the 70s, which enabled women to financially massacre men in their tens of millions in the US divorce courts, so that the ex-wife gets sole custody of the kids with 90% probability. She gets his house that he paid for. He's forced to pay child support for kids he may see twice a month on weekends, and pay alimony to his fluffy ex-wife with no legal moral obligation on her to become a FIP, so that she continues to parasite on him before the divorce and after. In the US, young men under 35 have seen what happened to their fathers and older male friends, and now see traditional marriage as toxic. They see the analogy between marrying and playing Russian roulette with only 2 chambers in the barrel. That is, a man marrying has more or less a 50-50 chance of being financially massacred by a fluffy feminist-dominated divorce court system. 70% of young men in the US under 35 refuse to marry and have kids. If this rate continues, the US population will be wiped out within a century. This marriage and fatherhood strike is the dominant reality of our times. All that humanity holds dear is predicated on the existence of people. But the MGTOWs and the masculists are wiping out the people by refusing to reproduce. Sooner or later, this refusal will force the gender politicians to create a FIP culture, a culture that is men fair, unlike the current fluffy feminist gynocentric culture of today. The masculists put enormous moral pressure on women to be FIPs, so that women can afford their own apartment and not look around for some robot male, it's a manslave, a traditional man who expects to be parasited upon by a fluffy wife, whom she can turn into a manslave who works for her and gives money to her if he wants to get any sex from her. Masculists can then have a relationship with a FIP woman by tway-tweffing, that is 2A2F-ing, that is 2 apartments, 2 FIPs, that is each lives in his/her apartment and both are FIPs. The huge advantage of tway-tweffing for men is that when the relationship goes sour, he can simply walk away, back to his own apartment, cost-free, no divorce because no marriage, no child support because no kids, and no alimony because the woman is a FIP. Masculists and MGTOWs refuse to have relationships with fluffies. Masculists see fluffies as immoral, parasitic vermin, to be wiped out by letting them rot on the shelf to extinction. The only women that masculists and MGTOWs will accept having relationships with are FIPs, which are the type of women that masculists demand that all women become, or they won't get a man. and hence will become manless, loveless, sexless, babyless and poor. If all women are to become FIPs, that means that they'll have to study career-competent majors at university, that is, one of the professions, for example, medicine, dentistry, architecture, law, veterinary science, pharmacy, etc. Or one of the techs, for example, computer science, physics, chemistry, math, geology, engineering, etc., instead of studying fluffy crap, for example,
English literature, philosophy, sociology, anthropology, psychology, history, women's studies, etc.,
which the marketplace values little and hence pays little for. But to study a profession or a tech major, you have to have studied 12th grade high school calculus as a prerequisite. The professions and the techs demand that you know how to calculate and manipulate numbers. These 2/3 of female university students who study fluffy crap are innumerate and iscyanate, that's ignorant of science, unable to reason scientifically, iscyanate children who will not be able to be career competent when they graduate. They will fuck on average some 30 men before they get into their 30s, when their biological clock will really start ticking, and they will start looking around for some robot male, some manslave, to parasite upon, so that they can have their children in a middle-class house paid for by a robot male, because she's too fluffy to be able to afford one herself. But the supply of such robot males is drying up. In the US today, only 30% of young men under 35 accept the traditional idea of marriage and kids, of being a manslave to a fluffy. As MGTOW and masculist ideas spread and spread, this percentage will continue to drop, until fluffies are left totally rotting on the shelf, getting crazier and crazier, because no man wants them, no man will love them, fuck them, give them money and kids. Many of these less attractive fat fluffies will turn to feminist ideology, in quotes, fat for feminazis, triple F, to rationalize why no man wants them, instead of taking control of their own lives by reducing the number of calories they stuff into their fat faces, and by studying FIP subjects and becoming a FIP. As a FIP, they will have a better chance of attracting a man whom they can tway-twef with during the decade or more it will probably take for the gender politicians to make the men fair gender laws, particularly regarding the divorce laws and the lack of a paternity rejection right, equivalent to the maternity rejection right that women have. So, as the years pass, women will catch on to the idea if they want to get a man, they must be a FIP. To become a FIP, they must study a FIP, career competent, major at college. To be able to get into a FIP major department at college, they will need to have studied 12th grade calculus at high school. So, reversing the logic, if they don't study 12th grade calculus at high school, they can't get into a FIP major department at college. So they will not be able to study a FIP major. So they will not be able to become a FIP when they graduate. So they'll be forced to look for some robot male in their 30s when their biological clock is ticking. But there won't be any robot males left by the time they're in their 30s. So nearly all men will see them for what they are. That is, immoral, parasitic, fluffy vermin who will rot on the shelf to extinction. All this because they did not study 12th grade calculus at high school. So, these women will not have babies because no man will give them one. Men won't even give them the time of day because men will shun them, treating them as manslaving pariahs. For simple-minded women, there's an easy formula to remember. If you want to have babies, study 12th grade high school calculus. That is, baby calculus. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name De GARIS Masculist MGTOW Flyers. Ciao.